I think I was about 5 years old when I realized my mom was very rich. Before then, I thought that everyone lived in a huge house like me, with cooks and maids and a private driver. I guess you would say I lived the perfect life. My mom ran a hugely successful company, and one day it would be mine. But before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe, and hit that notification bell, and maybe you will be rich one day too. My friends were always telling me how lucky I was. I agreed with them, to be honest. I had everything that money could buy, but there was something missing. My dad. Mom never wanted to talk about my dad. I only knew that she had kicked him out of the house when I was about 2 years old, but I didn't know why. If I tried to bring up his name, Mom just changed the subject. I remember one time Mom got really angry. I was in the lounge and Mom was in the kitchen. My favorite song came on the television. I was singing at the top of my voice when Mom came running into the room. "Switch that television off, Jenna," she shouted. "You're just like your father." I looked at Mom in astonishment. She never shouted at me, and she definitely never mentioned my dad. "Why, Mom?" I asked. "He was a good-for-nothing musician, that's why," she said quietly. "I don't want you following in his footsteps." After that, I never sang in front of Mom again. I didn't stop singing, though. I would hide upstairs in my room and sing to my heart's content. Mom never knew. She probably thought I was playing my computer games. That's what most girls my age were doing. It wasn't that hard to hide my singing from Mom. Most of the time, she wasn't home. Her business was so successful, she spent all of her time there. Sometimes I wish she was like my friends' moms. They stayed home and baked cakes together. My mom never cooked me a meal. By the time she got home from work, I was usually already in bed. I knew that one day I would be working as many hours as Mom. I would be running her company. For as long as I could remember, Mom would tell me, "One day, Jenna, this will all be yours. You will be the CEO of my company." My best friend was Cheryl. She was the only one I could confide in. When we got to high school, we had to choose what subjects we wanted to study. Everyone was so serious about picking the right subjects. "What do you want to do when you leave school?" asked Cheryl one day. "It doesn't really matter what I want," I replied. "My life has already been chosen for me. I will be going to work at Mom's company when I leave school." Sometimes I felt a bit sad that everything was planned for me, but I didn't say anything to my mom. I didn't want her to think I was ungrateful. It might have been different if I had a brother or sister, but as I was an only child, of course it had to be me to take over the company. I looked at the list of subjects. It didn't really matter what I chose, but one subject jumped out at me: music. I put it down at the top of my list. "I'm taking music," I told Sherry. "But don't tell my mom, because she probably won't be happy about it." I wasn't really that interested at school, but I loved going to my music classes. We learned how to play the guitar and the piano, and we sang in the school choir. Sometimes we would put on a concert for the parents to watch, but I could never tell Mom about it. "Is your mom coming to watch the concert this year?" asked my music teacher, Mr. Henry. "No, sir," I replied. "She is busy at work." "Oh, that's a shame," he said. "I seem to remember she couldn't make it to the one last year either." The night of the school concert came, and I told Mom I was going to Cheryl's house for the evening. "Have fun, darling," called Mom. "Don't wait up. I might be back late," I replied. The concert was so much fun. I really loved performing to an audience. At the end of the show, the parents of my friends all gathered around us, congratulating everyone. I felt a bit sad that my mom wasn't there too, but never mind. That was my final concert. I was graduating high school at the end of the year. I couldn't believe how quickly it had gone. And now I was going to start working at Mom's company. Cheryl was going to university. She wanted to become a teacher. My first day at work started off the same as any other. I sat having breakfast in the kitchen with Mom, but instead of waving goodbye to her as she left for work, I joined her in the car. We drove to work in silence. I knew that Mom would be thinking about all the meetings she had planned for the day. I was a little nervous, but I knew I had nothing to worry about. It wasn't like I was starting out at the bottom of the ladder. I was going straight in as a personal assistant to the CEO of the company, my mom. I had an office directly outside Mom's office. Mom showed me how to use the intercom and gave me some papers to sort through. Everyone was friendly towards me, but the day really dragged on. I was so bored. Well, I better get used to it. This was going to be my life for at least the next 40 years. I settled into my job, and the weeks went by. At the end of the month, I got my first salary. I couldn't wait to open my bank statement and see the money that had gone into my account. I opened up my bank details on my phone, but froze. Wait a minute, there must be something wrong here. I looked at the money that had gone into my account. Surely there is a zero missing? I went through to my mom's office. "Mom, I think the accounts department has made a mistake with my salary," I said. Mom looked at my phone. "No, there's no mistake," she said. "That's what I'm paying you." I was shocked, but I didn't want to seem ungrateful. "Oh, okay, sorry, I'll get back to work," I stammered. I went back to my desk and picked up some files. "There's no need to worry," I told myself. "I'm sure it's only because I'm new at the company. Maybe everyone gets a low salary for the first couple of months. Kind of like a trial start." But the months went by, and my salary never increased. It was really starting to annoy me. I was the personal assistant to the CEO, and I was getting paid less than the tea and coffee girl downstairs. One night after a particularly difficult day at work, I just couldn't take it any longer. I went into Mom's office and confronted her. "When am I going to get a fair salary?" I asked. "Your salary is fair," she replied. "Are you kidding me?" I screamed. Then I lost my temper. "I hate you, and I hate this stupid job. I resign," I shouted. Mom didn't even try to stop me. Well, I had said it now, and I had to follow through with it. I grabbed my bag and stormed out of the building. Well, she needn't think I was going to be hanging around here any longer. I was going to move to another city. I packed my bags and left the house before Mom got home from work. I took the train to the next city. As I sat looking out of the train window, I thought about what I was going to do. I took out my phone and started searching through the adverts for accommodation. Eventually, I had found a place to stay, sharing with 3 girls, Kelly, Diane, and Lucy. The girls were really nice, and we soon were all getting along really well, laughing like we had known each other for years. "Do you have a boyfriend?" asked Diane. "No," I replied. "Well, we have lots of friends. I'm sure you will find someone soon," she said. "Oh, I need to find a job first," I said. "Well, the restaurant I work at is looking for a waitress," said Lucy. "Why don't you come tomorrow for an interview?" I couldn't believe it. Everything was falling into place. I had new friends, a place to live, and now a job. I didn't need Mom. I could look after myself easily. But the next day, things didn't look quite so rosy. For a start, I burnt my toast for breakfast. I didn't know how to work the toaster. Who knew you had to set the dial at the correct number? I had never cooked for myself. I didn't know how to wash or iron, and as for cleaning the house, forget it. At first, the girls thought it was quite amusing that I couldn't do anything for myself, but then it started getting on their nerves. I knew that if I wanted to stay, I would have to teach myself all of these things. So that's what I did. I was so proud the first time I cooked them all a meal. It was only spaghetti bolognese, but it felt like a 5-star meal to me. Everything was great, except one thing. I didn't really earn enough money waitressing to keep me in the way I was used to living. I would need to get another job. But what else could I do? Then it came to me. I would go out busking in the evening. I bought myself a guitar and found a place on a busy street to stand. I began to play and sing. It wasn't long before a crowd was gathered around me. "You're really good," said a man as he threw some coins into my guitar case. I made quite a lot of money that night. I went there every evening, and every time I drew a big crowd. One night, as I finished my last song, a man came up to me. "I've been watching you all evening," he said. "My name is Dave. I'm a record producer. I would like you to come to my studio tomorrow for my partner to listen to you." I was so shocked. He handed me a card with his details. "Be there at 11 o'clock, he said as he walked away. When I got home, I told the girls all about it. "Be careful, Jenna," they said. "This could be a scam." They're probably right, but I'm still gonna give it a try, I thought. The next day, I went to the studio. I sang for Dave's partner, and much to my surprise, he offered me a contract. After that, my life was a complete whirlwind. My first song came out, and it sold millions of copies. I had hit after hit. I moved out of the girls' apartment and into a mansion of my own. One day, I was sitting in the music room in my house when my assistant came in. "There's someone to see you," she said. "He says he's your father." I looked at her in shock. "Send him in," I said. The man walked in and ran to me. He gave me a big hug. "I'm your dad, Jenna," he said. Is he really my dad, or is he someone just after my money? I wondered. But then he said something that convinced me. "You get your voice from me. I'm a musician too." My dad came to live with me. We had a lot of time to make up for. I felt a bit awkward at first, but one evening we were sitting in the lounge after dinner and Dad turned to me. Jenna, I don't suppose you'd like to sing with me? He asked. Yes, I'd love to, I said. I got my guitar and we began to sing together. Dad had a fantastic voice, and it felt so special spending time with him. That's when we really started to bond. I was so happy to be with my dad after all these years. But a few days later, my assistant came to me in my office. I don't know how to tell you this, she said. I saw your dad stealing some of your money and jewelry. There must be an explanation, I told her. I'll go ask my dad. I went through to the kitchen. Dad was sitting drinking a cup of coffee. Is it true? I asked. Have you been stealing from me? You're just like your mother, he screamed. I'm only taking what's rightfully mine. You owe me. Get out of my house, I shouted. I never want to see you again. Dad left the house. At first, I was quite sad and lonely, but at least I had something to look forward to. The following week, I had my first concert. It was actually on Mom's birthday. As I sat there thinking about it, I began to think about my mom. I really missed her. I know, I'm going to send her an invitation to my concert. She probably won't come because she hates singing, but you never know, I thought. The night of the concert, I went out onto the stage. Thousands of people were there. I sang all of my hit songs. As the lights came on at the end of the show, I saw my mom at the front, clapping and waving and smiling at me. I asked my assistant to bring my mom to my dressing room. A few minutes later, she walked into the room. I've missed you so much, Mom. I didn't think you would come, I said. I wouldn't miss it for the world. I'm so proud of you, she replied. I was happy, but a thought kept on nagging me. Why didn't you pay me fairly when I worked for you? I asked. I did it for you, she said. I knew you had always wanted to be a singer, but felt obligated to take over my company. I made you hate me so you would leave the company and follow your dreams. I had never felt happier. I had a brilliant career, and I now realize I had the best mom in the world, too.